Fantasy Six-Pack Hour with your hosts, Joe Bond and AJ Applegarth.
Touchdown! All right, welcome to the Fantasy Six-Pack Hour. My name is Joe Bond, founder of FantasySixPack.net. With me, as usual, co-host AJ Applegarth. What's up, man?
Not much. What's happening? Just enjoying some football tonight. Got a nice matchup here. Divisional matchup, obviously, with the Bills and the Miami Dolphins, who are sinking a little more than they're swimming right now. So
Yeah, definitely.
See if the Bills can keep this going. I like it. I like what I see.
All right. Yeah. So I think it's what, 17-10? No.
No, it's 24-10.
24-10. Yeah, 24-10. My bad. So 24-10 Bills, they're kind of taking it over right now. But all right, with that being said, we're going to jump into some week 2 action for you all with some start-sit questions, kind of taking a sneak peek into the rankings here. But before we jump into that, I want to remind everybody, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, leave those comments, talk to us live here on air if you're in the YouTube with us here. And of course, jump over to FantasySixPack.net. Become an all-access member. You're going to get access to the full set of rankings that we have over there, the award-winning rankings. You got to get access to the 30-plus player waiver wire article every week, plus Steve Hungarner's IDP waiver article that he goes 20, 30 players deep every single week. So it's a bit more than just your usual 5, 6 that you get from everywhere else. We've got Dave Eddy, Chris Robin, Keith Fleming, all doing great DFS content. We've got the Parlay Fantasy guys giving you some betting advice along with Mike Tomlin. We have a ton of stuff for you over there along with projections. And then best of all, you can talk to all of us over on our Discord inside those members only channels to get those your custom league questions answered. So jump over to fantasysixpack.net/plans. Use promo code F6P NFL24 to save 15%. So without further ado, AJ, you want to jump into our start sit questions? Mike, voice from the sky.
Let's do it.
Man.
All right, you ready for another round?
Round 2.
Sure, man.
Round 2. Better be better this time, Joe. Starting off with you.
Better this time. What did I do wrong last time?
What does that?
I don't know. I don't like your answers. You gotta give me more positive answers.
Wow.
But ask better questions.
Welcome to week 2. All right, we are.
Here's a better question for you. Here's a better question for you, because when I saw your rankings, I had no choice but to put this in there. Anthony Richardson at Green Bay, or your homer pick, Jayden Daniels versus the Giants, Joe?
So both very good matchups here. Both good quarterbacks for fantasy, at least. So if you're looking at the screen here, I've got some slides that I made for these. I want to explain them real quick to kind of set up for the rest of the show. So this is our little versus matchup here, a little Street Fighter action looking versus. I've got the ECR, which is from Fantasy Pros, the expert consensus rankings over there on Fantasy Pros, and then we've got our F6P projection over there next to it. So kind of let you know what that's telling you to go. My answer here, though, is going to be Anthony Richardson. It's still just he's too good. I love Daniels. I love the matchup, but Anthony Richardson seems fairly unstoppable when he wants to be. He's just a big guy, man, and he's hard to take down. So, he is, as much as he struggles to throw the ball, Daniels was even worse. So, at least give me some passing. Richardson is just like, I'm just going to chuck it 60 yards down the field, slipping at the same time. That was insane, by the way. And it was like perfect. So yeah, give me Richardson.
Man, that is brutal for the hat that you're wearing. But I also would like to start by going round 2, fight. So yeah, I'm going Daniels on this one. I hear what you're saying on Richardson. The projections, this really is a coin flip based on our projections here that you're seeing on the screen. 0.1 point difference.
Yeah, not
ECR is 2
hard
spots
to go wrong.
away. I think you're definitely good either way. But yes, thank you, Chris. I'm going Jayden on this. I mean, I get that Richardson is the bigger, sexier name in a sense, but Daniels has such a good matchup against the Giants. #SuckItKeith. I mean, you can't not want to go that way.
Man, Mike was ready with that one.
Yes.
I had it locked.
That was immediate.
Richardson, and I also changed my name for those of you listening in the F6P League to #SuckItKeith because I beat Keith last week. Barely. I should not have beaten him, but I did. So that will be my name.
Because he started the wrong defense.
Yeah, well, woulda, coulda, shoulda. Okay, not my problem. He's 0-1. I am 1-0. So that is where that is. But yeah, Daniels.
You're funny.
17 for 24, 184 yards. Not anything like super impressive. Tampa's got a pretty good defense, so that's kind of in line with about where I thought he would be. But 16 rushes for 88 yards is very nice. 2 tutties on the way too. He was only sacked twice. He did have 3 fumbles, but he did not lose any of them. So that's a little worrisome, but again, it's the Giants. I'm not really worried about that defense. I'm going Daniels here.
All right. Well, interestingly enough, we have our first question from sorry, is it
Q?
Q. That's what I was thinking. So Richardson or Daniels. So we didn't help you there. Again, coin flip. I don't really think you can go very wrong. I think they're going to be very close. Flex, likely McConkey or McLaurin. Wow, that's a tough one. Is it PPR or half? That is a difference maker for me. So that would be the question for me. So.
In the meantime, we do have another question you can answer. Oh, no, he got PPR up. PPR.
Okay. So I don't know. What are you thinking, AJ? It's a really close call from me.
It is.
I'm leaning McLaurin.
Yeah, I like
just
McLaurin. Especially if you're going with Daniels. Based solely on my expert analysis that just occurred. I like the stack play. Yes. Yeah, I think it's McLaurin. That one's pretty close too, but I do like McLaurin.
Yeah, it's super, super close, but lean me some McLaurin there. So don't chase the points with likely quite yet. I'm not there. I think that was a ceiling, burst through the ceiling game for likely. That's probably not going to happen very often. All right.
Next,
do we have any more questions?
Yeah.
There's one more.
Oh, yeah, we did. Oh, from Albert.
Albert.
DJ Moore, Brandon Aiyuk. I will go Aiyuk. I think he's gonna have a bounce back game. He could have had a massive game last week if he had just not dropped a touchdown. So, yeah.
I like more, but
I mean, it could be a shootout between the Bears and Houston, but like, I need to see Caleb Williams throw more accurate passes a few more times before I'm trusting him. We know that Purdy and them can do it. So, I'm gonna go Aiyuk.
Same.
All right.
Chris said if it matters, he's in on Terry.
All right. What else we got?
All right.
QB.
This one will be a fun one. AJ, I'm curious to see where you go with this one. You got Joe Burrow against the Chiefs in Arrowhead, or you can go Justin Fields against the Broncos in Mile High. This one I thought was pretty fun when I was making it up.
I bet you did. Gross. Wow.
Yeah.
Do I have to pick either one of them? Jayden Daniels.
I mean, realistically, I looked at it, boys. People who drafted Joe Burrow might have went to the waiver wire and got, someone like Justin Fields potentially.
Yeah.
Now they're dealing with this question.
I mean, he was probably picked up last week by a lot more people, I feel like, but maybe not. I will still go with Burrow. Not happy about it, but I mean, he's got familiarity playing against KC. And I've got to think that his receivers are going to pick it up a little bit more this week. Just trying to find out what he did last year. Oh, actually, he did not play against KC last year because he was out. That's right. I just think Burrow's got to have a bounce back.
It is close for me, but I lean Burrow just slightly. I mean, we're talking like my QB 14 and my QB 16, it looks like right now. So, I mean, talking fractional points here. I mean, Joe Burrow is you just got to hope Jamar Chase decides he wants to play better. And I mean, Burrow's got to look better too. Like, it's just last week was such a disaster. So it's got to be better than that. I mean, like, Justin Fields, I know, like, we like the rushing, but dude, they didn't score a touchdown last week.
Yeah.
Like, they won this game off of like field goals.
6 field goals, I think it was.
This is gross. Yes. So give me Burrow and Dion. You're asking me an IDP question. This is the wrong show. I know Steve Humgartner loves him some JOK, so maybe that. But you got to jump in our Discord, brother.
That's a prime matchup versus Denver though, and
get you got to jump in our Discord and ask Steve Humgartner those questions, man. He's the guy to ask, and Jamie's on in the comments here. Maybe he can answer. He knows better than me. So,
Burrow.
Which backup Dallas tight end do you think will produce in fantasy if Jake Ferguson is injured? Or do you think backup tight end Shoemaker? I don't know.
I mean,
there's probably better options on the wire, in my opinion.
I mean,
I also don't really know if Ferguson's missing time. Like, it doesn't really sound like he is, but we'll see.
I did like Shoemaker coming into last year, but he grossly disappointed while Ferguson, was really dependable. I feel like towards the end of the season, Shoemaker did kind of come on a little bit, but I don't know. I mean, I think Dallas's offense is obviously clicking, right now, but it's still early. So I think I would maybe search the wire, see who else is there. And I mean, if you have enough depth and can pick them up, sure, take a flyer on them. But I don't know if I would want to depend on him
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's pretty rough. We've
but
already
what-
been hit by some tight end injuries here early on, the Joku and Ferguson.
Yeah.
And he isn't practicing so far, but sounds like it's going in the wrong direction. So, yeah, desperation mode, Shoemaker, fine. I mean, we know Dak likes to throw to the tight end, so we'll see.
But what I did want to say for Burrow, last nugget here, 2 years ago against KC, put up 30.82 points in fantasy, at least according to Sleeper. 25 for 31, 286, 2 touchdowns, and 11 for 46 rushing with a touchdown. So I don't know if I see him getting all 3 of those touchdowns again, but I wouldn't be surprised if he did either. He definitely has the floor to do it, but he needs to prove that he can do it right now. So, all right, what's our next?
I was gonna say, Joe, the comment came on Facebook, and Jamie's on YouTube, so he.
I realize that I'm asking him there, and then I will repeat the answer. Yeah, I'm asking Jamie your question, so we can get you an answer here. So just hang tight.
All right, Joe. I got another fun one here for you, and I know you're eager. You're eager. J.K. Dobbins against the Panthers, or Travis Etienne versus the Browns.
I know it wasn't good for Etienne last week, not what we were hoping, and Dobbins blew up. I'm still going Etienne. I want to see it more.
I don't like that.
Dobbins.
I don't like that. I'm going against him.
I mean, the Chargers offense, I don't believe is going to be very good this year overall. Gus Edwards broke a couple long runs. And I'll be honest, though, like Gus Edwards, like he broke some runs. He looked really slow. I mean, he was getting caught from behind. So, like, that doesn't give me a lot of hope that like he's going to be able to break a lot more long runs. I mean, he just has some massive holes to run through there. So give me Etienne. I think the arrow is trending down for him right now because Bigsby did get a large workload. But yeah, I'll still take Etienne.
And he didn't fumble his chance away this time in week 1.
Oh, he almost.
It was close.
Didn't Etienne fumble?
Etienne did, but I'm saying Tank
did.
Last year, week 1, Tank Bigsby fumbled, and that's what led to Etienne getting all the volume. And then the whole shebang happened again this offseason, except Tank Bigsby didn't fumble this time. It was Etienne.
Got it. All right, Dion, here's your answer. He leans Queen slightly since they're facing a bad Denver offense with a rookie QB. There you go.
Solid logic. AJ.
All right. Yeah, the Bigsby thing is kind of a thing, but looking at the numbers here, yeah, they both had 12 attempts. Bigsby obviously had 73 yards to Etienne's 44. Etienne was still getting the receptions and involved in the pass game, whereas Bigsby didn't get anything. But the bigger number here to pay attention to is the snap percentage. I mean,
oh yes,
you saw 70% snap share for Etienne, which is expected compared to Bigsby's 32. Now, obviously, Bigsby did a lot on the ground with that smaller percentage. I don't know if I can expect that every week yet. It'll be interesting to see how he goes, but yeah, like I think it's pretty cut and dry here. I'm going Etienne on this one too. Dobbins was a really nice week for my bench in a couple of leagues because I was
everybody's bench.
I was not starting him. I mean, unless I had a bunch of injuries or something, and he just happened to be the guy. He wasn't for me. I do like what I saw out of him, and we've seen bursts from him when he has been healthy. I just need to see him stay on the field for about 4 to 5 weeks before I feel like I can really trust him.
Exactly.
And him and Gus Edwards, that's going to be a tandem
Yep.
I just don't. I think that's more of a running back by committee, whereas Etienne Bigsby is not yet.
Yeah.
I know it's a little early here, just being week 1, but man, I was really high on J.K. Dobbins this year. He's my highest exposed player in underdog best ball drafts by, and I'm talking player.
Yeah, but you're talking in best ball, man. You were getting him dirt cheap.
Well, you still got him dirt cheap in redraft.
Yeah, I get it, but in redraft, you get him dirt cheap, and you have to make a decision whether or not to draft him.
So dirt cheap that he was actually a top waiver priority in a lot of waiver wire articles this year. This week.
Yeah.
So yeah, but I mean, I agree with your logic there in the redraft standpoint. But man, if we can see J.K. Dobbins do this, another week, maybe it changes your mind and he reappears.
No, if he runs this well again, I mean, we heard good things from this offensive line. And like the tape that we saw from the preseason games from this Chargers offensive line, it looked really good. It totally revamped, run game here and blocking scheme. So you like what you're seeing, and we know Dobbins and Edwards both know the system. So is it possible it's going to work? Absolutely. Is it also possible that after 3 runs, J.K. Dobbins, blows another ACL? Also very possible, because this is what seems to be happening. So, yeah.
Well, maybe he makes another reappearance in the future weeks. But here's, going on to the next matchup we got. This is a first appearance for both of them this week or this year. AJ, you got Jerome Ford against the Jaguars or Tony Pollard against the Jets? Who are you choosing?
Oh, I was very disappointed with what I saw out of Ford in week 1. I do feel like that's a better matchup. I think that game could be kind of a shootout. Like Cleveland is just, whipped dogs, literally licking their wounds right now, like after that throttling by Dallas. So I think they're going to come out a little more prepared this week. They're going to have to, really get it together with Ford. And, I don't think you can depend on Deshaun at all right now. So I think they're going to have to lean on this running game to get this going, and try to not start the season 0-2. So I do like Ford over Pollard. I just don't like the matchup for Pollard.
Yeah, I'm Ford over Pollard as well. And I mean, AJ, I know you're looking at like the total yardage for Ford and like the yards per carry. It wasn't good.
Yeah,
I mean, they shut down the Cowboys shut down that offense big time. What you really like to see though, and what gives me hope for Ford, dude, he had 7 targets. He caught 6 of them. It wasn't great. The yardage was bad, but that's phenomenal. Like. Mm-hmm. That is great. I do like Pollard. I like the fact that he really got a vast majority of the workload there over Tajay Spears. So he is most definitely in flex consideration in most leagues. But give me Ford this week. I think they're going to lean on him a little bit more and kind of get this offense back to what we're used to seeing, where it's kind of run first, build from the run, get a little play action, not like let's just let Deshaun Watson step back and just look stupid the rest of the whole game, because that's what happened. It was bad. Yeah, Jamie, I'm with you, man. They should start Winston. Watson's bad, and it's
this is going to be the typical, like, hey, we're paying this guy so much money, we really can't afford to just bench him.
I mean, at some point, right, you've just got to cut your losses to like improve your team, right? You would think. I
don't disagree with that.
I don't know, man. Like, as John LaPressa said, bad teams make bad decisions and stay bad. Like that. That's what this feels like time and time again. But no, this is Jerome Ford this week for sure.
All right. Well, let's move on to the fun part. At least I find it the fun part. Wide
Are
receivers.
you having fun yet? Because I don't think we've answered your questions the way you wanted us to.
Yeah.
I mean, the QBs were fun. The QBs definitely were fun. But RBs went downhill quickly.
Got a little triangle action here.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Whoa.
We got, Joe, for you, another rookie, Malik Nabers against your team, the Commanders. Brandon Aiyuk at Minnesota, or Nico Collins versus the Bears. Who you sitting? Who you starting? You get 2.
All right, so just to let everybody know, I do use my half PPR rankings when I'm making these decisions. It is going to be, for me, Nico Collins is a start for me. I liked. Now, he didn't score, but look, there's enough passing volume going around. And I wrote about this in the user's article. Like, it's gonna, I think all 3 guys being there, and I said this last week, I think, is they're gonna cap each other's like ceiling, right? Now, of course, we had Diggs go off for 2 touchdowns, so that kind of throws that out the window a little bit, but like that's what it's gonna take for one of them to do it. It's gonna have to be like double touchdown day, right? But I don't think we're gonna see that very often, right? But what I did like from Houston was they threw the ball a lot and they really funneled it to those 3 guys. And so all 3 got a large amount of the targets and enough targets to make them all viable fantasy starters every single week. So Nico Collins stays in there kind of locked in. I like Aiyuk, but I want to see another week from him if I have to make the choice between him and Nabers. Nabers just gets that super tasty matchup. Washington's defense is going to be one of the ones to pick on all year long. And even a Daniel Jones is going to be able to take advantage of this defense. They are that bad.
Yeah. Yeah, I think Danny Dimes needs to have a really good bounce back week this week. Probably more so than Brandon Aiyuk. Looking at these 3 receivers, he was the one with the least amount of targets last week. He also, I believe, had, he did have the lowest snap percentage too. That might have been part of their game script maybe, but Jordan Mason was lights out running in place of CMC, so maybe they didn't have to lean on the run. They still lost the game, but they did not lose the game. The Jets lost the game, so I feel like that aided in their ability to be able to keep running the ball. Mm-hmm. But I agree that I think there is definitely a bounce back in Aiyuk this week, so I am putting my faith back in him. I did like what I saw out of Nabers, 5 for 66 off of a really shitty Danny Dimes performance. Pretty good. Right. I compared to some of the other rookies, very good. So I do like him this week, but I think I got to go Nico. Nico was still solid, 117 yards. 8 targets. We know that offense is going to be clicking. I mean, it's just going to be going all year long. I mean, there's so many good, talented players that Stroud has at his disposal, and including Mixon in the run game. So
right. Yeah, how good did Mixon look? Holy cow.
Yeah.
Aren't you glad I took it from you?
All the more reason I was pissed you grabbed him.
I was thinking about that.
But yeah, I think I'm leaning Aiyuk and Collins.
By the way, you're 0-1 against me already this year.
It's better than what Tua is doing right now.
Yeah, well, he's 0-1 against me, so hashtag suck at Keith. Also, 2 of us just dissed, took your boy Nabers out, so hashtag double suck at Keith.
I picked Nabers, but okay. All right, let's go.
You picked Nabers?
I mean,
I
Joe's
picked Nabers over Aiyuk.
Oh,
Joe's still gonna take
I
the
wasn't
chance to
thinking
say hashtag suck the key.
Because even though I'm wearing the hat, I still know they
Yeah,
suck.
no, I did hear you say that they're a shitty defense. So I was there for that. But
All right, let's move on.
All right, out of the next one here for you, AJ. You get Davante Adams against the Ravens in Baltimore. On the opposite side, Zay Flowers against the Raiders. Or DK Metcalf against the Buccaneers. Wait, no, I don't think Metcalf's against the Buccaneers. I got to fix
they're
that.
not.
I think I didn't put that one on the screen.
Seattle's going against New Orleans. New England.
Thank you. My apologies.
One of those new teams. I think I'm going with the head-to-head with Davante and Zay. I love Metcalf, always have, but I think that this game could turn out to be a bit of a shootout, weirdly enough. It's in Baltimore, so they get to come home and hopefully get their own home ref squad on their side. But yeah, Adams, it doesn't matter who's throwing on the ball. He's gonna get his targets. He's gonna get his points. He's the feature talent on this offense. We really didn't see anything out of Zamir White last week, so I expect I would like to see him bounce back, but I still expect Adams to get his. So he's definitely in. And Flowers is a stud, man. I don't know if he's really made his way into being the favorite target for Lamar, but if Andrews has another crappy game like he did, and you see an uptick in Likely's stats, I think you're still going to see him in Flowers too. He's going to stay consistent. So.
Two is injured.
Oh no!
Oof!
I just saw people commenting about it. Oh, that would be disastrous.
Yuck!
Not that he's playing well, but
no, he just had a pick six.
That's worst case scenario.
Okay.
All right,
Joseph.
Well, so my answer. I'm going Davante. I know the matchup isn't great, but as you said, he is the alpha in that offense for sure. You just have to hope the targets keep him afloat. It's really what it's going to matter. The coin flip between Zay and DK, and I'm gonna lean Zay only because last week the passing game for Seattle was not working, and he only saw 4 targets. We heard all season that the Seattle Seahawks were going to be a faster team. Metcalf only ran 26 routes. That is not a lot, by the way. So that tells me they did not have a lot of offensive plays. In comparison, Zay Flowers ran 48 routes, right? And it's not because DK wasn't on the field. It's that the whole offense wasn't on the field. And then they finally leaned into that running game, and that's when they finally started getting going. I just I think Zay Flowers is the clear receiver one for that team.
Yeah.
But it is going to be a run first team when they can. Now I do expect them to have a lead in this game, so maybe he won't get a huge target share, or he'll have the target share, but he won't have a lot of targets like last week. But maybe he has a few more splash plays.
10 targets last week.
Zay Flowers?
Zay Flowers had 10 targets last week. He caught 6, but he only had 37 yards. So he was kept way in check.
Why am I seeing 8 targets?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Says 10.
I don't know. I get different numbers. But anyway. Yeah, so it's Zay and Davante Adams for me. But that's what I got.
All right.
All right. This one should be the tough one. This one, when I looked at your rankings, Joe, before you updated them, they were right next to each other. You got Jameson Williams versus Tampa Bay, Terry McLaurin at Detroit against the Lions or George Pickens at Denver against the Broncos?
Yeah, they are all right next to each other. This is the territory with the receivers where I kind of want to go with a little more upside if I'm having to go with these guys. These are your back end receiver threes at this point. Your potential flex guys, depending on who is on the rest of your roster. I'm actually gonna go Jameson Williams, assuming he's healthy. We finally saw the talent on the field.
Yes.
That was legit. That was not just a good game. That is Jameson Williams. That is what we expected from him. He is that good. Terry McLaurin and George Pickens. I mean, it is a true toss-up for me. Kind of want to lean McLaurin only because it is the good matchup, and Pickens has Fields throwing to him, but it's not like we haven't seen anything from Fields being able to throw to Pickens yet either. I don't know. I mean, they're literally back to back for me, but I would say PPR, go Terry McLaurin, maybe half PPR, it flips over to Pickens, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I'm in agreement with Williams as the definite start out of these three. Loved what I saw out of him this week. And like you said, this is what we expected. This is what we knew was coming at some point. And assuming, he does play if he's healthy with the ankle, he's a must start. McLaurin, I was disappointed in his targets last week, but again, that game kind of just didn't really work out for Washington. Jayden did his thing. He was running a lot, like I said earlier. So I think that if he can tune that down a little bit, this is a matchup where he can easily just exploit the Giants. So
okay.
I do like McLaurin. I think I agree. I think if it's PPR, I see an uptick in his targets this week, so I would lean McLaurin. Pickens, yeah. If it's half, I think you can be safe going with him. 6 for 85.
Jamie dropping the knowledge here. McLaurin facing a horrible Deontay Banks. Yeah. I'm sure you'll be writing about that in your wide receiver quarterback matchup article here that I think drops tomorrow if I'm remembering right. So, yeah. All right, man. I think we got one last one, right?
Yes, you are correct, and we say
Big
the worst
finale.
for last. No,
The
it's the
worst.
worst. It's the tight ends.
So that she got this was a great question. I'm not gonna lie.
I just meant by
position
wise. Position wise, we saved the worst for last.
Wow,
Maybe it's the best question for last. Joe, Isaiah Likely versus the Raiders, or Colby Parkinson with the Puka injury against the Cardinals.
So very, very interesting. I might surprise people. I'm going Parkinson. I am not totally in on the Isaiah Likely's the dude now, right? It was a good game. I do think there was a little bit of Mark Andrews was getting over something. He just did not look right, and I'm not one of those people that are oh, Mark Andrews is old now. No. That's not the case.
Not even 30.
No, let's get real. It's not happening. Isaiah Likely's good. It is a great matchup. But yeah, there's a ton of targets to be had now for the Rams. We're talking about DeMarcus Robinson. We're talking about Whittleton. We're talking about Tyler Johnson. Kind of getting left in the conversation is Colby Parkinson, who stepped in and, he had 5 targets, caught 4 for 47 last week. Not too bad for a tight end. I'm leaning Parkinson. I'm thinking, Andrews kind of takes his role back a little bit more and, likely takes a bit of a step back this week.
Yeah, this one is close. I think the downside of Andrews last week, that was an anomaly. I don't imagine we're going to continue to see that. Likely still going to be involved in this offense. I mean, he's proven when Andrews is not on the field that he is a viable, consistent, and safe target, just like Mark Andrews is when he's on the field. But the snap share, I feel like, is going to start trending back to Andrews as the season progresses, as he hopefully continues to work his way past whatever injury or issue he had in week 1. I think I'm leaning Parkinson on this. I think overall he could have a really big game with Puka being out. He's been a dependable, player, and in his various stops throughout the NFL, he's never been a huge name, household guy that you're gonna just be like, oh yeah, I got Parkinson in round 86, and I'm freaking stoked, man. No, you're not doing that. But he's worth a start. He's got a solid quarterback who's knows what he's doing, throwing him the ball, and he's going to need weapons to throw to. So I like what the receivers did last week after Nakua went out, but I don't know if I can trust them.
Cup with 21 targets.
Well,
that was insane.
I mean, you knew that was happening, but aside from Cup is what I was getting at, the fill-in receivers.
I know.
Demarcus Robinson, on the other hand, was a disappointment. Figuring he would have gotten a little bit more, leeway and playing time, but he just didn't do much with his opportunities. So, long and short of it, I'm leaning Parkinson on this one too. The only caveat would be if the Ravens do end up blowing out the Raiders, maybe likely gets a little more time, but you can't schedule your lineups based on that.
I mean, I think one of the things you also have to look at, right, and I said it before, is I think Baltimore's going to have a lead in this game, right? Yeah. And so what happens when Baltimore has a lead in the game? They don't pass. They run and run and run to more.
Run.
So likely isn't going to get the opportunities he had last week when they were behind pretty much the entire game. So, yeah, it's bad. By the way, I'm looking at this video. Keith Lott posted it in our Discord of Tua running. Oh, that was just bad. Why? Why did he do that? That was totally on him.
Hit?
Oh, hit just his neck snapped.
I didn't. I have the game on it. I didn't even see the replays.
That was bad. So, excuse me. Sorry, guys. All right. Well, that's it for our start-sit portion of the show. Next, we're going to jump into just AJ and I riffing a little bit about some of our observations from last week. And we'll see how this goes. So basically the idea of this came from, I write the usage article, that talks about snap counts and targets and carries and all that kind of good stuff each week, trying to find some trends. Of course, week one, there's not a lot of trends per se to look for, but it's very interesting information to kind of take away from, the first game of the season and kind of see how all these offenses are generally going to be running, or at least hopefully they're, they show their hand finally, right? Week one. AJ, I'm going to start with the team that's on television right now, and it's the Miami Dolphins. Now, we know Mostert's out, but when Mostert and Etienne were both healthy last week, what's the Devon Etienne show, man? Mostert did not get the workload that I think anybody thought he was getting. I'm looking at 35 snaps to 28, 9 rushing attempts to 5, 7 targets to 3. And Etienne even got the carry inside the 5-yard line that you would have typically seen go to Mostert last year.
Yep. Mostert had 21 total touchdowns, I think, last year, led the league. Something like that. We didn't think that was happening again this year based on the crazy number that it was. But I personally didn't think it would be, completely far off, because this is a high-powered offense, and they again, like we've been talking about with a lot of these teams, they have tons of mouths to feed and lots of talent to go around. So it's a great system for offense, and I was very disappointed in what I saw in Mostert. Etienne looked awesome. He's been really good tonight. He's back up at 90 yards, rushing again, 21 receiving and the touchdown. Only 3 receptions, but that's fine. Like, it works. When he's getting that much volume. And I think this is going to be something that we're going to continue to see this year. Jeff Wilson, huge waiver wire pickup this week, because Etienne was also questionable leading up to 2 hours before the game. Wilson, from what I've seen in the game, hasn't been super involved.
Neither has Jalen Wright's been was a little involved.
Wright's shown a couple of flashes, but
neither one
3 for 9 yards, so not really.
Not yet. Neither one is doing much of anything. This is all Davante Chan. 21 carries for him. It's interesting. The one thing I took away possibly as a reason is that Mostert, for the most part, Miami could not run the ball against Jacksonville.
Yeah.
They had, I believe I wrote in my article, a 2.9 yards per carry average with just their running backs. Tua had an 11-yard run, which kind of skewed it just over 3. But even if you just look at the running backs, it was bad. So, they were using Etienne, out, in the flats and out of the slot, and, running running routes with him. And he took advantage of that. I think, so there's a little bit of that, but then you get a little more worried for Mostert, even more so when you see the fact that he did not get the goal line touch, which is whoa, because that's what carried his value big time last year. Down the stretch, that's what kept him afloat.
Yeah.
So,
that's definitely one to watch. One of the things that really shocked me was the rookie receivers, and just how up and down they were. We're talking Marvin Harrison, borderline first round pick in some leagues. This was such a highly touted, he's the next coming of all-time rookie receivers. He's a special talent. Don't get me wrong. I still think he is. I'm not changing from that. But this was a bad game. Very bad game. 1 reception, 3 targets, 4 yards. Kyler just did not look good. Buffalo, defense was in this game, and they were keeping them at bay, but the game itself seemed like it was close. It was a competitive game, and I just don't understand how this happened for Harrison. Nabers, we already talked about, 5 for 66 on a very horrible Danny Dimes game. that was awesome. And he had 100% snap share, so he's on the field the entire time. Harrison was on 90%, so not bad. Lad McConkey, who we touched on a little bit, pretty solid game, as far as the receptions and the targets and a touchdown, 5, 7, and 1 touch, but only 39 yards. I mean, that's overall disappointing. PPR, it kind of was okay, but that's just because of those receptions. I mean, if he wouldn't have gotten that touchdown, he'd be borderline just as bad as everybody else that I like.
No, I totally agree with you. It was weird. The whole Harrison thing is like, and then there's this quote from Murray, like, it's not my job to give him the ball. It's the OC's job to like game plan for him, and he needs to get open. And you're like, oh, buddy, like, okay, not what you want to hear. So hopefully they kind of smooth
that
things out. And Harrison, needs to run some better routes. He wasn't getting separation at all.
Yeah.
So that's just something's got to give. Maybe it was first game jitters. I don't know. It was bad though.
That's possible.
Hopefully.
But I mean, just looking at the past and what we've seen, these rookie receivers have been such like big time fantasy producers, and they just really weren't this week.
Yeah.
So, that was
absolutely. We got a question here from George. Should I drop Wright for Irving? So that would be Jalen Wright for Bucky Irving. I probably would. I expect Mostert to come back. Maybe not next week, but soon. Yeah. And even without Mostert, Wright's not getting any work. And if Tua's out, this offense definitely takes a step back. And Bucky was, pretty. He wasn't like massively involved, but he was involved to the point where, I think we're going to see, as we've seen with rookie running backs a lot, if they are getting any work in the beginning of the season, it starts to shift, maybe not to where he takes over, but enough to where like he could be a good play. And then if there's anything that goes awry with, with Rashad White, then Bucky Irving is definitely a guy that can plug right in. But
Bucky had a very Tank Bigsby game, but better because he had 2 receptions on 3 targets.
Yep.
Again, it's only 14 yards, but Bigsby wasn't getting anything, and that he's the next man up in Jacksonville.
Absolutely.
Same thing in Tampa. Jalen Wright is not the next man up at this point. He's down the pecking order. So
I don't even know. Yeah. One of the other running game situations that kind of caught my eye, and something that we were all looking at in this offseason, big conversation, big debate on this team was who was the man, right? Cincinnati Bengals. Was it Zach Moss or was it Chase Brown?
Yeah.
Oh, baby. It's Zach Moss. Like almost like double the snap counts, triple the carries. He saw one more target. He saw the end zone work, or the red zone work. Like it's, I don't know if this is like, lock it in. This is going to happen every week type of thing. Cause I do think Chase Brown is talented, but to me, this screams they brought in Zach Moss to do exactly this. Yeah. And Chase Brown is going to have his role from last year.
But the one thing, I agree with all that and was super excited for what Moss did. Is he able to do it for a full season? Like, is this finally season where we see it actually come to fruition?
Yeah. I'm not cutting Brown, but it's now I'm putting him on the bench for sure. I'm not flexing him, which was
I would
a big thing.
Keep him as a bench stash for right now. Keep an eye on the situation. If Moss continues to dominate week in, week out, I think Brown's going to be a heavy drop in a lot of leagues in another couple of weeks if that maintains. Another big thing with the running backs here. Go ahead, Mike. Throw the counter up. Hashtag suck it, Keith. Saquon.
I thought
Freaking
I
awesome.
thought I
Of
was
course,
about-
he's going to talk to Philly.
I
He had to
will-
bring up the
yeah.
Philly. Like
Week
that's
one
not this is even
observations
news, man. We
with
knew
the
we knew
Eagles
this.
freaking
was gonna
awesome.
happen.
This is 2 banners. We get a suck it Keith.
And we get a Philly rant.
That's right. That's right. You knew it was coming at some point. But yeah, I mean, now again, I will say I don't expect this every week out of Saquon. If it happens, great. But you're not going to have him for the playoffs. You're not going to have him towards the end of the season if you do this. That is, I think he's had that many touches. It's been a long time. I think he might have had it once on the Giants. He had that many touches. But either way, 109 yards, 2 tutties, 1 receiving, all after the very first play he had in an Eagles uniform was a horrific slip loss for yards. And like that was just such a downer. But no one's talking about that because of the game he had, nor should anybody talk about it. It was the first play of jitters, and we'll blame the field just like we did for the Super Bowl. No.
So I will say this: the one thing that I really like, look, we all knew Saquon Barkley was gonna have games like this with the Eagles. We all knew he was the man there. They brought him in, paid him that money. He's the guy. The thing that really caught my eye was the fact that he got 2 goal line rushes, and Hurts only got 1, and Hurts did not score on it.
Yeah.
So that tush push is not working even close to the same as last year, unfortunately.
It's gonna be interesting to see how it works. I mean, Jason Kelce was such a huge part of that.
Oh my gosh! Yeah,
Jurgens is awesome. I love Cam Jurgens. He was handpicked by Kelce to be his replacement. Yes, he played guard last year because Kelce was obviously still here. But I felt like the tush push. They tried it earlier in the game. I think it was third.
It got stuffed earlier. Yeah,
it got stuffed. And I don't think it's going to have as much success. Maybe early in the season. I think once they get it down and practice it enough, they're still going to be the best team at it. And you have Jaylen who, squats 500 some pounds. You have Saquon who squats like 500 per freaking quad. So, he's going to be the one pushing them in. I think it's still going to work. But yeah, so overall,
I mean that's interesting. That this lowers Hurts his fantasy value a lot because that's where he was getting.
I think it will.
It'll be okay, but it is going to hurt.
He's not, depending on how this year goes, and if it's, again, very small sample size, I don't expect Saquon. I mean, there's going to be weeks where Saquon gets 12 touches, 10 touches. They're going to be calling someone else's number because they're going to need to. But
they've got a lot of talent on that offense.
Yeah,
but
it's nice. They can.
I want to move on to one more last thing here. I'm just looking through my quick notes section in this article. The one big thing that called out to me was sorry, I don't know what's going on. I said so much for Kyron Williams not being the bell cow and being the punt returner. 91% snap share. Blake Corum didn't even see the field. Feels like it was a little overblown. Anybody else? Yeah. So got a question here real quick before we move over to the receiver side of the thing. Steve Garza, start Ford or Mason in the flex. This is easy. It's Mason. You can't sit him after what he did. No CMC. You got to go Mason. Of course, if CMC miraculously plays, you're going forward. But everything's leading up to the CMC sitting. So
or you're going CMC if you happen to have him just sitting.
Yeah. So over to the receiver side, the one of the teams that we talked about a lot in the offseason was the other team playing in tonight's game, and it is the Buffalo Bills. And so we wanted to see how this receiving core was going to shake out. I'm not really sure we saw much of anything in week 1, right? They didn't, strangely enough, they only passed the ball, 23 times? That's wild.
It's low.
Yeah, that's wild for Josh Allen. So like nobody really did anything. Shakir got the ball. It got the end zone, got the touchdown. Keon Coleman was on the field more, ran more routes, got more targets, even got an end zone target. Like none of these receivers were drafted in a spot where like you were totally relying on them. The guy who disappointed everybody, and this is a theme of last week, was the tight ends. And Dalton Kincaid, one target,
sucked.
Just awful. Just buried everybody.
So disappointed in that.
So, I don't really know if we could take a lot away from it, but I mean, we're looking at tonight's game, and it's not a whole lot better, but they also have this massive lead. But I mean, four receptions for 42 for Shakir, 4 for 33 for Kincaid. So a little bit better, but there's still not a lot there. I mean,
it is.
Josh Allen still has only thrown the ball 17 times. They have a 31-10 lead. So whatever.
This is going to be what, we're going to need to take a step back and just be patient with this offense. I think, we knew going into the season, for fantasy purposes, what the hell are we going to do? Like Josh Allen has nobody to throw to. It's got to be Kincaid, and that's it. I mean, Shakir's been good. He was really good in this game so far, from what I've seen.
5 for 54 now, actually.
Yeah, and Kincaid, like you said, 4 for 33, so he's having a better game.
Get more involved.
I was super disappointed in him in week 1 because I had Pitts on my bench. It wouldn't have mattered in my matchup, but I didn't expect.
Pitts didn't do much either because he scored.
Exactly.
That was the only difference.
It was the touchdown that was the difference maker for that. But I mean, the tight ends in general, it was such a bad week for star tight ends. Njoku's injured. We talked about Kincaid. Pitts didn't do anything other than the touchdown. Kelsey was kept in check. Andrews was non-existent and likely was the unlikely hero of that game. Almost the actual unlikely hero, but we've always, not really joked, but basically factually stated the tight end is the catcher of fantasy football. Yeah, week 1 showed it. And that was what was kind of
week 1 was bad. Week 1 was bad. I wrote about the Ravens. We already talked about them. We talked about Houston. Kansas City was kind of another one. And again, tight ends kind of in the mix there as well. Look, Kelsey saw a lot of work. Just not a ton of targets. He was on the field a lot. They had a lead. They were leaning on that run game and kind of riding their defense a little bit. Rashee Rice is kind of the guy who caught my eye big time.
Yeah.
It was, could he do it again for what he did last year? Is he going to be on the field, right? It was like all these kind of things, right? And then they brought in Hollywood. Well, Hollywood gets hurt. So there's that. So it's the Rashee Rice show. 9 targets. They believe he caught 7 or 8 of them. I don't have that in front of me right this second. The thing that got me though was that his ADOT and average yards per route run were up from last season, like almost double in one game. Now, granted, small sample size, one game, I get it, but the fact that they aren't just doing those little bubble screens only to him means that they're trusting him more in this offense to get a little more downfield. That's going to be huge for Rice. I don't know everybody wants to talk about Xavier Worthy. Awesome game. Awesome story. Dude's super fast, but let's get real. It was a super blown coverage on his touchdown pass. I mean, like the corner was just like, oh, see you later.
Yeah, it's like, wait, I'm covering you. Shit.
Oh, see, what happened was,
Yeah.
and then
Come on.
And then, the run was good. That just showed his speed, basically. There's a hole. He just ran through it. And nobody could catch him. Those things, I mean, he touched the ball 3 times, scored twice. Good luck with that. Let's slow down, guys. What else are you seeing here from week 1 that you want to talk about? We got probably about 5 minutes left total.
Yeah. Trying to think of what else exciting. Tampa Bay's offense.
Yeah.
Is
it their offense or was it their Commander's defense?
Well,
a little bit of both.
True.
Maybe?
I think it
probably
was
more. Which one is it?
But Baker, the fact that Cleveland is sitting there
oh my God,
freaking Deshaun Watson, and then they're like, Baker's just sitting in their bathroom on a commercial, literally taking a dump back in it, because that's exactly what he should be doing right now. I thought that and again, maybe it is more Washington's defense, but I mean, they were one of the highest.
Baker was dropping some
Baker
dimes,
was
it was good.
Really good, and he was a popular pickup. I actually picked him up before that game, but did not start him, and I'm mad about that too.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. There was a lot of good matchups last week. So was that one, but
good. Derek Carr, another forgotten total second quarterback, or possibly third in the super flex kind of drafted guy, had a nice game. Is New Orleans back? I guess we'll see. It's only 1 week again.
Well, so the other thing that got me with New Orleans, now that you're mentioning them, they scored 47 points. Yeah. Olave, I'm sure you know this. How many targets did he have?
I actually don't know it. I would guess maybe 2.
It was 2.
Wow.
All right.
He went 2
I saw the only reason I saw that or I knew that ish or guessed that way is because I knew that he had a down game, and somebody had a tweet that I saw. It was
2 targets. I mean, look, that's not good, but this also wasn't a normal game script, right? I mean, they got out to such a massive lead to the point where they were using Jamal Williams. I know they want to get him more involved this year, but they gave him a lot of work. Kamara didn't have a big game. Was just, it was so bizarre. Juwan Johnson and Moreau both scored. You were talking tight ends, both tight ends for the Saints scored. Such a weird game. So I'm not panicking. I'm not throwing in the towel on Olave yet. If anything, this kind of gives me more hope that if Carr is healthy and can do this without using Olave, imagine what can happen when they start using him and needing him. Olave can just blow up now. So, one of the other offenses that I was looking at here, the Falcons, man. Oh, what do we think about them? What happened? I sent out a tweet. I was like, hey, I thought it was the quarterback and the coaching in Atlanta. What happened? I mean, maybe it's the quarterback, right? We don't know. Maybe it's Kirk Cousins isn't quite fully healthy coming off an Achilles.
I think that's part of it. I think he was, a little gingerly, what do you want to call it? I'm not scared, but timid, I think. And of course, then, he gets to face the Eagles on Monday night for the Eagles home opener this week. The guys on the radio station this morning were just saying oh yeah, it's the NFL does their scheduling, and this is the 18th season in a row where the Eagles play Kirk Cousins as their home opener on Monday night. Because it's happened. It's literally happened the last 3 or 4 years.
Does the curse of Kirk Cousins on Monday night follow him to Atlanta?
Probably.
Right?
I mean, that's like the curse that's never going to end. Like it has to. But yeah, man, this defense or this offense was just
yeah.
Not good.
I'm hoping, it's just a little rust gets knocked off because I was really buying. I didn't actually get any shares except for one Drake London share in all of my drafts this season. I just never seemed to get it. But and I didn't get any Pitts. I didn't get any Bijan.
One or two Pitts. I have no Bijan. Yeah.
Couple other quick shout outs, and then if you want to have any other last thoughts here. So the Lions, Amon-Ra and Sam Laporta kind of down games considering what we saw. So maybe the JMO show, like, I don't know if obviously we're not going to get that every week from him, but he's going to be a factor. And so maybe we have to like pull them down a little bit, just slightly. The Packers, Mike, same old, right? Just spread the ball around. 6 targets for Dobbs, 6 targets for Reed, 5 for Watson. Reed had the dominant day with the phenomenal like Sports Center top 10 plays. Those were amazing. But it's gonna be, spin the roulette wheel, to figure out which one every week is gonna go off, right? The Colts, some big games, but 9 for 19 for Richardson. He's got an electric arm, dude, but the consistency from the receivers is not going to be there. And then the last one I had was the Cowboys. Brandon Cooks looking good in that wide receiver 2 role, man. And if we're saying Ferguson's going to miss some time, we talked about Shoemaker. I think Cooks even gets a more of a target share. I know Lamb wasn't quite himself, but I mean, he was enough of himself that they were running like, a bunch of wide receiver runs with him. The end around.
The end around.
So that's what I've got. Do you have any other quick thoughts?
Yeah. Did you just mention Jordan Reed? I'm sorry, or Jalen Reed?
Jayden Reed.
Jayden Reed. Sorry, God.
Yes, for the Packers.
Yeah. Okay.
And his highlight reel.
He was ridiculous in that game.
Dude, it was so fun to watch. But it was amazing. Like, I'm sure you were cursing him. But, he was very, very good.
Not happy at most of the points. But yeah, he was great. With Love going out, obviously that's going to be an interesting storyline to watch over the next few weeks. But you mentioned Cooks. How about Alan Lazard?
Oh, yeah.
Forgotten Packer turned New York Jet, turned, Aaron Rodgers, ayahuasca tea mixer, turned 27 points. Well, at least in this one league I'm looking at. 9 targets, 6 for 89 and 2 touchdowns. Like, that's definitely Packers Alan Lazard that we saw. Very popular pickup this week. We'll see if that maintains or not. Mike Williams did get I don't know if he even had a target.
I dropped him. I did
no targets. 18% snap share. Now
he's coming off the ACL. Still kind of throwing off the rust.
Still an injury issue potentially. Shocker. Would have never guessed that out of him. But
it's
I mean that's kind of what I'm looking at. Like 2 big kicking games out of Moody and Boswell. It's fantasy. This is what we love. This is what we hate. This is what we stress about. And it's week 1. Again, we preach it every year. Let's just relax. Again, with the Aaron Rodgers. Might as well get a ticker for that. And, don't overreact. Don't go dropping Marvin Harrison because he did jack squat.
Trade him to me if you don't like him. I'll take him for dirt cheap.
Exactly.
I still believe. But no,
I
great
will trade
advice.
you Brandon
Great
Cooks
advice.
for him. It's fine. You will be much happier.
And you know what, guys? I would love to hear your feedback on this little like rant session we had because I kind of think this is good stuff. Like this isn't scripted at all. We just literally just ranting about what we're thinking. If you guys like it, let us know. We'll keep doing it. If not, we'll find something else to do. Garrett Wilson or AJ Brown? I'm gonna go AJ Brown.
Yeah, I know. Go Brown.
I mean, God, look at this dude's hat. Do you really have to ask this question? No, it's kidding.
I mean, it does have green on it. They both wear green. Wait, is this game in Brazil again? Wait, hold on.
Thanks, Jamie.
Yes.
All right.
Sir.
Well, that is it for the show. Prayers up for Tua to get healthy. Although Skylar Thompson's looking pretty solid, so who knows? My gosh.
Number one waiver in
Johnny Smith, this thing all of a sudden 6 for 53 right now. So all right, that is it for the show. Good luck everybody in week 2, unless you're playing me, and see y'all next week.
All right.
Peace.
See ya.